Yeah, so I know it's a little early today, but some plans have changed, and so I am hopping on a little bit early just to make sure I actually get something in today. So, uh, I know I said last time that we would try and jump in at some point midweek. Didn't end up being able to happen. And also, I'm going to be pretty busy the next few weekends. So I am hoping to keep things regular, but if things drop off, you now know why. So just, you know, spooky season stuff coming up and all that. So, it's just been really fun lately. So, all good things, at least. So, that being said, okay, I need to put you in the thing. Why do I have another dandelion? I'm going to sell one of those. I don't know why I keep half the things that I have. So, since last time, we have had a lot happen. There was, oh my god, what was it? All Out. All Out was the pay per view that happened. And then also Dynamite. And then tonight we have Collision. So, literally a lot to go over, a lot to discuss. But because we are starting a little early, I'll give. I know there's a couple of people who just need a second to hop in, so we'll have fun until then. I hope everyone's been having a very good time. I hope it is a good spooky season for wherever you are and whoever you are. It is It's starting to get overcast and spooky chilly here, which makes me once again hope that we get more wrestling episodes that will give us. Oh, I do need a crayfish for something. I don't remember what, but I need it for something. What was I saying? I don't remember. Anyway, every year around this time, I really start missing when promotions would do like wrestling. Not wrestling. Oh my god. Sorry. I'm so tired. When they would do like Halloween episodes, like the AEW did one, I think it was 2021 or 2022, where the Elite all dressed up as the Ghostbusters, and then Dark Order showed up dressed as cowboys, and that was where I don't know if you've ever seen the clip where Hangman shows up as the Stay Puff Marshmallow Man. That's what that's from. So I always just miss. I feel like it's always such a huge missed opportunity not doing a Halloween episode every year, but it is pretty rare nowadays that they actually get to do it, and I'm sure that's just because of whatever the like timing works out and other storylines. And I think this year, well, actually no, I think this year AEW should be able to get a Halloween episode in because it'll be like right in the middle of two pay-per-views, because it'll be Wrestle Dream on the 18th, and then I think the next one, I could be wrong, I think the next one is Full Gear, which usually happens in November. So they should have time to do one. I think they should do one. I think everyone should do a Halloween episode, just because usually it brings back the like silly, dumb, like reason that everyone likes wrestling. But that's just me. So this past weekend? That's crazy. I feel like All Out was like 2 weeks ago and not this past Saturday. But we had All Out, which was really good. It started at an earlier time than usual because it was in Canada this time, and also from what I heard, there was some like counter programming or whatever going on. But yeah, that wound up happening. But seemed pretty cool. Yeah, All Out, I think, was very, very good. It had some weird pacing, which I don't know if you also saw that, but some weird pacing in the beginning, But overall, I thought it was really, really good. So it started off, I believe, started off with Eddie, which was like one of the main reasons that I think a lot of people tuned in, was being able to turn on and just see Eddie come back. I think it was an interesting choice to have him not show up until the pay-per-view. I don't know if there were like other reasons behind that, but the I don't know. I thought it was funny that they were like, is he going to show up? Is he not going to show up? He absolutely was always showing up. And I think that it was just a cool way to reintroduce him to people. So, you know, I thought it was just so. It was very weird seeing Eddie show back up in a ring. Like, he came out and for a second, like, because it's been over a year, it like took a second for it to sink in that like he was actually fully back. But I thought he looked really good in the ring. I'm so excited to see what he's gonna do. I have some thoughts as to what they're doing with his storyline. So, for whoever watched All Out and then the Dynamite afterwards, Eddie Kingston is back. He beat Big Bill, and he's teaming with Hook, which I thought was really interesting because I was sure that they were going to bring him back and immediately have him jump into the Death Rider storyline. And I was like kind of confused as to one, why he was coming back and facing Big Bill. But then it made sense to me being like, okay, he's going to come back. He hasn't been in the ring for a long time. Like, he needs some, like, probably more in-ring conditioning, which I think a lot of people saw when he was in the ring. It looked like cardio wasn't where it used to be, which makes sense. Like, if you're out of the ring for over a year and you're dealing with injury, like, your cardio probably isn't going to be the same. But he still looked awesome. It was still, Eddie Kingston. Would you like a dandelion? She does like a dandelion. But yeah, I thought, I thought it looked like he was ready to come back. There were some things in the match that I thought were interesting, like, I think, honest to God, probably most of it was just that he wasn't used to being back in the ring, and I don't think I've ever seen him face Big Bill before, so maybe there was some, missteps caused by just them not being familiar with each other in the ring. Like, the very last move that Eddie hit, he, like, missed Big Bill. But commentary played it off really well. Having Brian on commentary for Eddie's return match was very funny because you just saw him, like, backpedal a little bit from when he called him a bum, and just sort of being excited to see Eddie back in the ring. But he also covered really well at the end of the match when Eddie missed that finishing move where he was like, I think he clipped him in the back of the head. And it's like, no, I think he, like, fully missed him, but, all that to say, it was so good seeing him back in the ring. It was awesome seeing Eddie wrestle again. But, so, at the end of the match, Big Bill and I think it was Brian Keefe and, whatever, they immediately start going back after Eddie. And then Hook comes out. And that's where I started getting more confused because I was like, okay, like, I had sort of understood that they probably had him face Big Bill in his return match just to recondition him, have him win his first match back, whatever. But then they had Hook join him, and I was like, why? Like, I understand Hook was sort of, like, in the wind, right? And part of me really hoped that when Hook implied that he was going to have another tag partner, that it was going to be Danhausen. But, I was totally fine with it being Eddie. I was just still confused as to, like, what these two had to do with each other storyline-wise, and, like, started thinking, like, are they really not going to put Eddie in the Death Rider storyline? Like, that feels really weird that they wouldn't do that. But then I remembered a couple of weeks ago, I think maybe it was a couple of weeks ago, the whole timing on everything is sort of confusing. But a couple of weeks ago, Hook targeted Yuta. Like, when Hook returned, he targeted Yuta. And so I was like, oh, what they might be doing is setting Hook up to face Yuta, setting Eddie up to face Claudio, because when Eddie returned, he had his Claudio Sucks Eggs t-shirt on. And so now it's like, I'm starting to understand it a little bit more, that like it is probably setting up for Eddie to face them just with a tag partner. So I think that's really, really interesting. I'm just happy to have Eddie back. He didn't show up at Dynamite, but he is going to be wrestling on Collision tonight with Hook. So I am very excited to see that. And it's going to be a live Collision too, which means that like shit might pop off, as it is wont to do during live Collisions. So we will see. I'm very, very excited for that. Having Eddie back, I feel like Eddie is so much a part of the AEW culture that just having him back, knowing he's going to do a promo, it really, or like do promos, he's going to be there like chatting shit, he's going to be in the ring, he's probably going to be in the Death Rider storyline, which I think is really going to reinvigorate it. That's just going to be awesome. You made a Claudio Sucks Egg shirt, that's awesome. But yeah, you know, I don't know. I think it's going to be very cool. I think it's going to be very fun. Oh, what was that? Ooh, I got a record for my fish. But yeah, I am excited for Eddie to be back. I'm interested to see what he's going to do with Hook, and I hope they put him into the Death Rider storyline for a couple of reasons. One, just because I think Eddie can add a lot to it when it feels a little stagnant sometimes. And also because I think Eddie coming into it with Hook means that Yuta is now going to be a bigger part of the storyline now, which I think the last time that everyone sort of agreed that the Death Rider storyline was entertaining was when Yuta was sort of at the center of it. So we will see. We'll see what ends up happening there. But speaking of Yuta, I'm going to jump around a little bit just because some of the matches in the middle of the pay-per-view were kind of, and I think it's probably just because they weren't storylines that I was interested in, they were a little slow. So, like, the Mercedes match was okay. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I thought Riho looked really good, but I am just a little bored with Mercedes' title run and the way that she's winning these matches. Like, not the fact that she's winning them, just the fact that she's, you know, like, she's winning in weird ways. Like, the matches are good, but they're not like the men's world championship level of good, if you know what I mean. But I thought Riho looked really good. And then, you know, we had a couple other matches. There were a lot of tag team matches at All Out. There was the Cope and Cage versus FTR match, which we can talk about just because there are a lot of people who are curious as to what it implies. So Edge and Cope faced off against FTR. At the end of the match, FTR attacked Beth, who had come out to take Stokely out. Stokely being like one of the best part of the FTR storyline right now. But yeah, FTR came out, they attacked Beth, they attacked Christian, they attacked Edge, or Cope, or whatever you want to call him. And that was sort of how that match ended, and that carried over then to Dynamite, where, well, so actually another important thing to note is that in the match, Cope did John Cena's "You Can't See Me" thing, right? So a lot of people are taking from that, and sorry, to finish the thought, he did the "You Can't See Me" in the middle of the match. FTR attacks all of them. Dynamite, we get a backstage segment where Edge told Cope or Christian, hey, I have to leave, I have to step out. This is targeting my family. This has happened before. I don't know if I can keep doing this to them. And letting Christian know, like, you still have a family with me, because Christian sort of is now in the wind with Cope out. And so then people are taking from that Cope is taking time off in order to go to WWE to do one last round with John Cena. And I don't think it is entirely implausible that that's what's happening. I think when it comes to Tony Khan, he is a lot more open to his wrestlers. Was it the five? Yeah, okay. So it was the 5-knuckle shuffle. It wasn't the you can't see me thing. But Tony Khan is a lot more open to his wrestlers doing things with other promotions. I don't necessarily know if he would be cool with them still being signed to AEW and then going to work a WWE thing. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure. However, I don't think it's implausible that that's something that Tony Khan would allow. However, I really also don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of people are making a lot of assumptions based off of it. Now, again, I could be completely wrong, but I think literally anytime anyone in AEW is like, oh, I'm going to go take a break. Oh, I'm going to take some time off. Or if they, storyline-wise say that they're unhappy with something, everyone immediately starts saying, like, oh, this person's definitely going to XYZ company, or oh, this person's definitely leaving. And it's like, yeah, sometimes that's true, but it's not true all the time, and I really don't see it being the case now. Then again, I think it's been said that this is sort of John Cena's last year of wrestling because he is getting towards retirement age, and I think is looking to re-cement himself probably in Hollywood, but it is what it is. Actually, let me shoot. All right, well, goodbye, Geode. And this is a different can I just eat this? Can I set it on the ground? I can. Okay. Oh, and it went back in the water. Oh well, it's alive again. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's what a lot of people are saying. I think it's probably more that Edge is also really old and probably needs time off between big matches. So we'll see what ends up happening. But that happened, and then Marnie, if you don't get back in your goddamn house, I need animals. Marnie? Okay, fine, whatever. Then I will go, and I have to build a silo anyway for the hay, so we'll go do that. But yeah, I felt like the middle of the show slowed down a little bit. It was interesting to me that there wasn't... I don't know, they staggered it out really interesting, where like a lot of matches that I would consider mid-card were in the front, and then like the last 5 matches were just the back-to-back bangers. So we had the Young Bucks facing off against, the Young Bucks were in the ladder match, which was awesome. Like, that ladder match was absolutely insane. There was a point in the middle of it where I was, like, 100% sure that Mike Bailey had broken his leg. Because you watched them they did some sort of, like, spin or, like, front flip. And I watched their foot, like, slam into one of the rungs on the ladder and then bend, like, back. So the heel was going into... their butt, basically. And I was like, oh, this is like, oh, I need 10 clay and 5 copper bar. Dumb. Okay, well, now I need to go find clay. All right, well, we're gonna be, there's some clay. We're gonna be digging in the ground, I guess. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was like positive he had like broken his leg or something. And then you saw, oh my god, who was it? Someone landed, like, literally directly on their head. I am shocked no one came out of that match, like, completely catastrophically injured. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen. But any ladder match with the Young Bucks in it is incredible. So, it is what it is. But, that... Oh, I should have looked to see what the other ingredients were. I don't think I needed fiber. I think I definitely needed clay. I definitely have all the copper bars I need. Maybe I don't need hardwood. Okay. Let's go dig for some clay, I guess. Yeah, the Lucha Bros were awesome in their ladder match against the Young Bucks. But the Young Bucks in any ladder match are just incredible. They really are, like, the ladder match kings. I feel like they have sort of taken the mantle over now that the Hardy brothers are both older and very likely going to retire soon. But yeah, that ladder match was awesome. I was fully expecting in the middle of it, though, to see, like, the Young Bucks, like, one of them up on the top of the ladder, and then lights go out, Jack Perry shows up, screws them over. But instead what happened was Brodito won clean, and it wasn't until after the match that Matt and Nick were, like, in the middle of the ring. Lights go out, Jack Perry shows up. Or no, lights don't go out yet. Jack Perry shows up, right? And everyone is freaking out. The Bucks are like, they have him ready for the BTE trigger. Then lights go out. Then Lucha shows up. And it just felt really nice. Honest to God, I have no idea where they're taking this storyline. But it just felt nice to see those two back in a ring together. But also just to see, like, Lucha took off the kill switch. I think it's like it's like a weightlifting belt, I think they wear. It's like a strap that they, Cody Rhodes had it, like, infamously when the fans would, like, throw it back at him. But his said kill switch, he threw it because no one had really gotten in on the kill switch name anyway. But there was also, like, they, like, hugged in the middle of the ring, and they started playing the Tarzan Boy song. It was definitely an ode, I think, to their old tag team and Jurassic Express, and it felt awesome to see. Like, it was awesome as a fan who knew them back in the day when they were Jurassic Express and they were tag teaming together. It was awesome. However, I do not think that they are actually going to go back to, like, using the Tarzan Boy song or being the same genre of tag team that they were back in the day, just because... one, I think Jack has outgrown the whole Tarzan Boy thing. And two, because I think that Killswitch or Lucha has also outgrown that, like, style of wrestling. And on Dynamite, we saw Jack giving this, like, speech basically showing that he picked Luchasaurus back from the dead. I don't know, Lex. I think that the Young Bucks are just as good, if not better, than Edge and Christian, Hardy's, Dudley Boys. I think that they have had matches to the caliber of that match. But I'm a big Young Bucks fan, so. But, like I said, I think that they probably played that song as like a, hey, they're back together. Here is an ode to where they started. But... they are not... I think it is going to be a very different flavor of tag team this time around. And I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be awesome. I think them going against the Young Bucks and entering that sort of storyline is going to be really good for the Young Bucks because, one, I just love them being, like, sad and pathetic. But also because I think that they really need... a good, like, sink your teeth in storyline to capitalize off of what people have really liked with their current storyline. So that was awesome. Brodito ended up retaining, which was great. The other match, the women's match, spreading weeds have caused damage to your farm. There's literally no weeds on my farm. First of all, how dare you? I take offense to that. Oh, because they think that this is part of my farm. That's fair enough. Anyway, the women's match with Tony, it was Tony, Jamie, Chris, and Tekla. And those, oh my god, that match was so good, first of all. Every second of that match, absolutely fucked. What I was so surprised about was that, oh my gosh, it's fall. I didn't even realize yesterday was the start of fall. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so, the whole, speaking of whole, those, oh, perfect, now I have, okay, perfect, let's go. The match was so good. The match was incredible. And then the fact that so when I was watching it, I fully expected one of two things to happen. I thought either Tony retains, which I thought was the more likely outcome, or Jamie ends up getting the title because she just came back and everyone was very excited to see her. That they finally gave Chris the women's title when people have been like behind putting Chris as the women's champion for years. Literally, it's been years. Like, people absolutely have loved Chris Statlander her entire career, and they have been begging to put her into the title scene. I really honestly didn't think she was going to beat Tony. Also, just kind of because I thought that, like, Tony's reign was going to be longer. But Chris ended up winning, and I thought that they tied it in really well with the fact that she has been sort of poached by the Death Riders, and the whole Death Riders' whole thing is they poach people and they make them be better, and whenever they get involved, the other person ends up winning for one reason or another. And Yuta had been really, if they're not gonna, there's no way they can do this to me, where the one day that I have all of my materials, Robin's not at her desk, I have complaint to file. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, I thought it was awesome. I also loved the story of the Death Rider sending Yuta in to try and recruit Chris because he was doing this whole like cheerleader thing, and it was like, you know what? Let Yuta be part of the women's roster. Like, let him explore himself. Let him be part of all these women's matches. I just thought it was a really funny, it was a weirdly funny way to treat his character, just because his story really is sad right now. So, Chris won, and that was incredible, and I think she's going to be one of the best women's champions we've had since Tony. I think it's very smart to put the title on Chris, because you need someone who's going to match the levels that Tony was as a champion. But then you go to Dynamite, where Chris defended her title, wound up winning, and Harley Cameron comes out, and, they're celebrating, but there's this, like, tension in the air, because everyone keeps asking Chris about the Death Riders. And Renee, earlier that day, had asked Chris, like, what's your relationship with the Death Riders? There had been so many hints dropped that Chris was going to join, and then she doesn't. So there's the moment where Yuta comes out, and it's all the Death Riders, and Harley is in the corner of the ring being like, oh my god, Willow was right. Chris is going to join them, because Chris does, like, a quasi version of the best friends hug with Chris, and I just think the acting in that segment was really, really good, because you felt Harley's anxiety, and you felt Yuta's excitement, and you felt Chris, like, making her decision. I don't think she had made a decision up to that point. And so she ends up turning at the end of it and clotheslining, doing a sort of clothesline on Yuta. And the whole segment was so good. And I was relieved because personally, I really didn't want Chris in the Death Riders. Not because I don't think that there should be another woman in the Death Riders, but because I think that uh, she is just. I just think that having a story of someone who turns them down is so interesting. Like, having the story of here is someone who literally got her title using the seatbelt pin, and everyone is crediting Yuta for that. And then having sort of this turn where it's like, no, she learned that move from the same person Yuta learned it from, which was from Chuck Taylor. And Chris is still, I should put that in the thing, but I want to give it to Elliot. Anyway, but yeah, she learned it from Chuck, and it just shows who she is as a champion, where she isn't going to take the easy path. She is going to turn down the Death Riders, and she flipped Jon Moxley off, like both hands in his face, and ran off with Harley. And I thought it was such a change of pace from the way that the Death Rider story has been going. I was so happy to see it, and I really hope they continue with this being like, no, Chris isn't going to join the Death Riders. In fact, she, as the women's champion, is now going to try and take them down, same way that the men's champion, Hangman Adam Page, had done before, and now seems to be reinserting himself into the story. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I thought that was awesome. I thought that whole story, the way that that sort of wrapped up, was fantastic. And then the other match that we had, which to me was sort of the like match before the I forgot that unlocks another thing. The match before the main event, or the main event before the main event, was Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin in a coffin match. So I thought it was really good. A couple of things from it that were very interesting. One, this was Darby Allin's, I think, 6th coffin match. And you'd think, like, the way that Darby Allin's character is, that coffin matches would be his signature matches. Like, oh, these are Darby's matches. Darby doesn't lose these matches. And it's like, he has now lost 6 coffin matches in a row because he lost that coffin match. Which was a fantastic match. I thought Mox and Darby absolutely killed that fucking coffin match, dude. That was a banger from bell to bell. Like, all the different moves, Darby having, like, a sort of agreement with Bryan to have Bryan not get involved, but Bryan hands him the bag that has the plastic bag in it that he uses on Mox. But Darby still ends up losing. There were a bunch of spots where I was like, oh, this is like for sure the end of this. Darby digging that fork into Mox's ear and making it, like, sort of digging it into, I think he has like a prior earring hole there, but basically shoving it through his earring hole. Dude, it was so good. Like, Mox is such a good storyteller, and he's also such a good storyteller in that he has these matches where his opponent loses, but it is still, he still puts his opponent over somehow. And a couple of things that I thought were very interesting. He wound up winning that match after sending the Death Riders away. And then, you know, Death Riders come back out, they carry the coffin, they go to the back, and he sends the Death Riders away again because I guess he wants to have some sort of moment with Darby, like, who is currently in the coffin. And then is like, you know, I love Darby, I'm gonna do this, that, whatever. And then Darby breaks out and sets Jon on fire, which I love AEW's just sort of flagrant use of flammables. I think it's very funny. Is it the summer or is it fall? I think it's the summer now. Yes, it's the summer. Okay, so I have to plant these seeds. But yeah, it was so good. Oh my god. Darby setting John on fire, and then that sort of being like a sign of it isn't over between the two of them, and they are going to do everything possible to get at one another. I'm very interested to see where that goes. I also think because Eddie is now going to be in the Death Rider storyline, Eddie and Darby Allin also have a history together. So I think that'll be an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I am very excited to see where that goes. But then, again, on Dynamite, to sort of wrap up their story, Mox came out with, I forget, oh my gosh, I completely forget which match he came out after, but Mox comes out, it's Mox, Claudio, Yuta, Garcia, they're attacking people. I also, and I'll get to this after, this next part, but Garcia and Yuta coming out together, just sort of being shitheads together. The end of Dynamite, we saw Mox being there with, the other Death Riders. Darby comes out with, like, I swear to God, he probably made it himself, but, like, a homemade flamethrower, and challenging Mox for Wrestle Dream, which is in, I believe, 3 weekends. It will be October the 18th will be Wrestle Dream. But, just sort of them all coming out, Darby challenging Mox. I think this upcoming one is very likely going to be the last Jon Moxley Darby Allin match. I didn't. Okay. I think that's good for today. Tomorrow I'm going to go in and I'm going to get my silo so that I can get some chickens. Okay. But, I think that story is very interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens there. So, to sort of wrap everything up, we then had the main event, which was Hangman Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher. And I think everyone sort of agrees that that was one of the best matches that Kyle Fletcher has ever put on. I also think it was one of Hangman's best, like, one-on-one matches. And I was so surprised at how good it was, just because there wasn't really a ton of story leading up to it. Like, usually when Hangman has these really big, important, like, impressive matches, it is at the culmination of a very big storyline, like between him and Kenny, or him and Swerve, or him and Jon Moxley. And this, they really didn't get a ton of setup for Hangman versus Kyle Fletcher, and they still put on, honest to God, one of the best matches I think I've ever seen either of the men put on. And maybe that's just because it was such a surprise that it was so good. But, it was just an incredible match between the two of them. And I think it really showed that Kyle Fletcher is coming into his own being a singles wrestler. And I really think that Kyle Fletcher is probably going to split off from the Don Callis family at some point, just because I still think there's going to be a split between Takeshita and Okada that's going to pull the family apart. But just so good. Really, honest to God, just incredible. And then we saw on the following Dynamite that it seems like Kyle Fletcher is okay with moving past, the world title scene, which I think is smart because he is still a champion. He doesn't need anything else. What he needs really is a good storyline now that he has sort of had his big pay-per-view match. So I'm very excited to see what he does next. But Hangman, interestingly enough, at the end of Dynamite, came out with that group of people who were trying to chase off the Death Riders. And I don't know what that means, because Darby Allin is going after Mox, I think what's probably going to end up happening is Claudio and Yuta are going to get into a feud with uh, Eddie and Hook, and then I guess the people left are Marina, Garcia, and Pac, who also came back at All Out, which was, honest to God, I'm not gonna lie, like, to kind of do a sidebar for a second. I didn't know it was Pac at first when he came out, because Pac has one, gotten a haircut and then also grown his hair out. I have clay and copper bar. What do you mean? I don't. Oh my god. Why? I need 10 clay. Okay, well, we're gonna be digging here, folks. Anyway, as I was saying, Pac came out, one, fully dressed, and we have, like, almost never seen Pac in the storyline fully dressed. He is, like, the only person who's constantly in gear. But also he's got hair now, which is weird. But when he came out, they were only showing, like, the side of him, and hand to God, I fully thought it was Wade Barrett. Because, and I didn't realize that, like, when Pac isn't in gear and he has short hair, he looks like just a short Wade Barrett. But it was Pac, and now he is back, and I'm very happy, because I love Pac. I think he's great. I just think he's good in whatever he does. But he's back, and so, you know, there is every chance that he then gets into a storyline with Hangman, maybe. Maybe Hangman joins the Darby Allin, John Moxley storyline, just to sort of add something new and interesting to it, which I can see. I think that would also be really interesting. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I just think it's interesting that Hangman sort of inserted himself into that again. I don't know if it's going to be a one-off thing. I'm doubtful that it is, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's sort of where we're standing right now, where the Death Riders seem ready and poised to be in a storyline with all these other wrestlers. And it looks like Kyle Fletcher is ready to leave the world title scene and focus more on his own title. The women's division is so hot right now. I'm so excited to see what they end up doing, especially with Chris. But yeah, I mean, I think everything is really poised to have a really, really good Wrestle Dream on the 18th. The other thing that in the Death Rider storyline, and this is sort of like the sidebar storylines now that weren't as big, but Yuta and Garcia, I'm actually really interested that they're not having Yuta and Garcia like be antagonistic towards each other, because I think they very easily could have gone with the idea that Mox sort of brought, oh, well, I'm gonna need to get a well, guys. Look at it. I need that. Anyway, yeah, so I think that, can I put it behind the house? Well, I don't want to put it in front of my cat's water bowl. And it won't go there. Okay, let's put it, and I also don't want to put it there. Let's put it here. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, so that's, wait, hold on a second. I have enough for the well. Let's get me a well. Oh shoot, I can't be making two things at once. Okay, whatever, fine. I'll get over it. Okay, as I was saying, I think they very easily could have had them antagonistic towards each other, because Garcia and Yuta are longtime rivals. Mox sort of brought Garcia in without telling anyone. It almost seemed like he was doing it in moments when Yuta was distracted, but it also seems like what they could be doing now is having the two of them be the young boys of the Death Riders, and having them teaming up together and supporting each other and just sort of being shitheads together, which I think is very fun. I love that approach to things, because I also think that if they do end up finally having Yuta leave the Death Riders, either that's going to lead to another Yuta and Garcia feud, which those two are fantastic together. Like, it's been said before, but they are sort of each other's white whale. They are each other's, like, number one enemy. And I think they do really well with that dynamic. So it could either be that, or both of them end up leaving the Death Riders together and forming their own tag team, which I think is really good because I don't think either of them are super ready to stand on their own just yet. And that's not to say that I don't think anyone else will be involved if the Death Riders end up separating. I think it's very likely that Claudio also ends up going with Yuta, but if we're talking about just the Yuta and Garcia dynamic, I think they're poised to do some really fun stuff. Let's see. I want some grapes. I love the summer in Stardew because they're grapes, which give me hella energy. Perfect. Okay. So then, I think like the last really interesting thing to come out of both All Out and Dynamite was MJF. So MJF had his tables and thumbtacks match with Briscoe, which was really, really good. I thought both men absolutely killed it. And I also was like not expecting Briscoe to win, just because it's Mark Briscoe, and like as respected as he is in the company, he is also the guy where it's like he has had his he's had his run. He has done everything under the sun. He's had his titles. He's had, his spotlight. And so for the most part now he just sort of puts other people over. But he beat MJF, which like really surprised me. And for the longest time I've been like, man, it's sort of weird that MJF was one of, if not the greatest AEW men's champion that we've ever had, and like has been in some absolutely unbelievable storylines with Adam Cole and Hangman and CM Punk and just a ton of other like big name wrestlers. Give me that clay. But now it almost seems like, and I think it's probably because he hasn't really been able to wrestle for a while because he's had things going on with, can I give that to Gunther? I can, yes. He's had things going on with like making movies and stuff. But then they actually ended up addressing that in Dynamite. So MJF loses to Mark Briscoe in a pay-per-view. No one really expected that to happen. MJF then in Dynamite ends up giving a promo, and it was filmed after their match, where he sort of addresses all of that, where he's like, I used to be the biggest name in the company, and now I'm left in everyone's dust. And he brought up Adam Cole, which everyone wants Adam Cole to come back because they love Adam Cole. But they also really want Adam Cole to come back because they want a real good ending to the Adam Cole MJF storyline. I think that they sort of wrapped it up in their own way, but I would love to see a better ending. I want a full Adam Cole versus MJF, huge storyline, culminates in this big, brutal match. I just think that those two are going to be part of each other's story for a really long time. But he brought up Adam Cole, basically saying, like, ever since Adam Cole did what he did, I haven't been able to get my feet back under me. I haven't been able to be what I used to be, and I've just been losing to everyone, and I am going to step away, and when I come back, I'm going to be unrecognizable. So basically, MJF is once again taking time out of the ring. And I am guessing that it's probably because he did just get married to Alicia Atout, who is one of the backstage interviewers. And if you don't know their story is actually very cute, where Max had been interviewed by Alicia on the Indies like years and years and years ago. And then he was at a scrum after an AEW pay-per-view, and she was there again interviewing. And he actually recognized her from all those years ago. And it was really cute. It was very sweet. I don't know if like they had interacted before that, but from what we saw, it was very cute. And so they did get married very recently. And so I'm guessing MJF is taking some time away to go on a honeymoon with her, and then to have them just sort of settle and take a breath and, relax, because he is really young. Like, he's my age, and, he has just been busy for the past 5 years as one of the top stars in AEW and then filming movies. So, what I'm hoping is that he is taking time off just to enjoy life for a second. But so he's going away, and I think that is. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to any storyline, honestly. I think it's going to be good, have him go away, come back fresh, because we also got a bunch of returns during All Out. Like, we got Jack and Lucha coming back, we got Eddie coming back, we got Pac coming back, and then in Dynamite, we had Orange Cassidy come back. Which, again, I think everyone knew that it was going to be Orange Cassidy, but AEW did that, like, funny thing where they're like, it was just Mark Briscoe making orange puns and them all pretending that they didn't know it was going to be Orange coming back. So, I don't know. I just thought that was very fun. But Orange is back. He looks great. It looks like he's ready to be put back into another storyline. So, we'll see what ends up happening. Oh, that's right. That's what Kyle Fletcher was coming back to do. It was Fletcher, I think, calling out, it might have been Hologram. And I think those two would have a pretty good match together, but, we'll see. So, it's yet to be seen, but all the storylines being set up right now look really exciting. They look really interesting. I think Orange Cassidy being put into some sort of storyline with everyone else, regardless of what he does, I think is going to be very good. I also can sort of see Orange getting in on the Death Rider storyline just for when Yuta breaks away. I don't know if that's the direction that they're going to go in, but I could see that. And I think that also that would be really interesting. So I didn't actually ever see Happy Gilmore 1 or Happy Gilmore 2. I'm not a huge Adam Sandler movie fan. One of my best friends is a huge Adam Sandler fan. I am not. I just don't think his movies are very funny. And I also just sort of don't like, it's like, I don't like that style of comedy. And also, I don't really like movies where the guy is like super average looking, but always makes like these super hot actresses be like his wives and love interests. I don't know. I'm not into that kind of movie, although I understand that it is part of the like zeitgeist and that a lot of people are Adam Sandler fans. But I heard that MJF was really good in it. So I'm not going to watch it just because I value my time. But I heard a lot of people really did like that movie. So hopefully you liked it. But yeah. Actually, which of these? So that goes in. Pike, no. Chubb, no. I thought the rainbow shell. Oh, maybe I just haven't opened that section yet. Okay, I'll save the rainbow shell for another time. Oh, I don't have room. Let me make another. I'm gonna make another box and then free up some room for me. But yeah, I heard it was really good. I don't know if he's set to be in other movies. I know he said that he really wants to do the John Cena / The Rock thing of mixing wrestling and movie making. I hope that doesn't mean that he ends up, not wrestling as often as he gets older, but who knows what it ends up mean. Who knows what it means. But yeah, so that is basically everything that happened at All Out, and then the following Dynamite. I know we have Collision tonight, and I'm very excited to see. It's going to be Eddie's first non-pay-per-view match back, and we're also just getting a ton next week, because next week's Dynamite is going to be the 6-year anniversary of AEW, which I think is going to be awesome. I'm very excited for it. I can't believe it's already been 6 years. I started watching, I think it was April 2021, or it may have been 2020. I don't remember exactly the day, but It's crazy that it's been that long. It's crazy that I watched like the premiere of Rampage and then saw the end of Rampage. It's crazy just how long AEW has been running and all the stories that they've been able to tell and the success that they've gotten. So I'm excited about that. So what I'm hoping is that I will be able to do a stream sometime, maybe next Thursday or Friday. I am going to be very busy basically every weekend until November. And the work days are also very busy for me at the new job. So we will see. I really hope I'm going to be able to do something. But next weekend, I am basically packed. I am, and then, almost literally every weekend after that, I have something going on. So, we will see what I end up being able to do. I'm hoping to plan for next Friday being able to jump on a stream again. And I know today wasn't super long. I just have a lot to do. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to jump back on, but that one we'll just sort of play it by ear, and you may have to catch that one on the rewatch, but we will see. But I am going to end this one a little bit early. I have some editing to do because I also filmed another stream video that I am hoping to get up at some point. Maybe this weekend. We'll see. I'm aiming for this weekend. It might end up being next week. But, so you can look out for that. But other than that, I think I'm going to have to call it here. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Next time we stream, it might be well into spooky season. It will be October, and so I'm hoping some point during that month that we will actually run into one of the cryptids that I have in the other mod that I have here. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your days, and make sure to catch on the rewatch if you want to. So, bye, have a good time, stay safe, enjoy your weekend.